In the space between striving and surrender, there is a wisdom that predates us all. It moves in the river's steady course. It drifts in the fall of a single leaf. Life was never meant to be forced into shape. It was meant to be understood, moved with, and met as it unfolds, while we shape ourselves in response to its rhythm. This is the heart of Stoicism, not the manipulation of events, but the mastery of the self. To live well is not to press harder against the world, but to align with it. We've been taught that success and peace come only through strain, through endless pushing, grasping, demanding. But what if that effort itself clouds our vision? The Stoics warned not against action, but against forcing what cannot be bent. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Let things happen in their own time. All things proceed as they must." That is not weakness. It is strength, tempered by wisdom. To force is to fight the current, but the river will always be stronger. The Stoic does not build dams. They build vessels. They do not curse the wind. They adjust the sails. This way of living asks for courage, not control, patience, not passivity, trust, not tension. When you stop forcing, you begin to see. When you stop pushing, you begin to flow. Here, strength becomes serene. Here, life begins to move with you, not against you. This is where our path begins, where stillness is power and surrender is not defeat, but wisdom. Chapter 1. The Art of Allowing. What does it mean to not force? It is not a call to do nothing. It is a call to do only what is necessary, what is in harmony with nature and reason. Epictetus reminded us, we control only our will, never the world. Forcing is the mark of a mind that has not accepted this. There is a quiet strength in those who don't force. Not because they lack ambition, but because their ambition is guided by clarity, not craving. They move when the time is right, not when the ego demands motion. They trust in the ripening of things, knowing that rushing spoils what patience would have perfected. The Stoics looked often to nature. A tree grows not by tugging at its own branches, but by standing firm, rooted, and drawing nourishment from within. So it is with us. Growth cannot be forced. It is cultivated. It is steady. It is patient. And when it begins from within, it becomes unstoppable. Often our impulse to force comes from fear. Fear that things won't turn out our way. Fear of being overlooked. Fear of falling behind. But fear distorts our vision. It clouds our judgment. It pulls us away from the truth. The best things in life are aligned, not imposed. If you force a flower to bloom, you destroy it. If you force love, success, or meaning, you only create shallow imitations. So let us bring this awareness into our daily lives. The next time you feel that urgency to push something forward, pause. Ask yourself, is this the right time? Is this the right direction? Where there is resistance, there is often attachment. When we find ourselves forcing, whether it's a relationship, a plan, or a result, it usually reveals not just desire but dependency. We grip so tightly that the absence of what we want feels unbearable. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to live well is to live in agreement with nature. And sometimes when something resists us again and again, it may be life telling us, not this path, not yet. The wise do not argue with reality. They read it. They learn from it. This does not mean avoiding all difficulty. The Stoics embraced hardship as training for the soul, but they chose their battles with discernment. They resisted only where resistance served their principles and shaped their character. To force for the sake of ego, to demand that life bend to our will, is not strength. It is slavery to desire. It is impatience disguised as power. True strength is quieter. It does not roar or demand. It lives in restraint, in the pause before reaction, in the space between desire and action. It appears when we loosen our grip and allow life to unfold as it must. The stronger path is detachment, to be able to say, I want this, but I do not need it. I hope for this outcome, but my peace does not depend on it. The more lightly we hold the things we care about, the more clearly we see them, not as trophies, not as guarantees, but as opportunities. So when you catch yourself pushing, clawing, manipulating, or obsessing, pause, breathe, ask, why? What are you afraid will slip away if you stop forcing? Is it fear of insignificance? Fear of being misunderstood? Fear of missing out? Then ask, is my effort guided by clarity or by craving? More often than not, the answer reveals where we've tied our identity to something fragile: recognition, control, validation, results. The Stoics remind us, these things do not belong to us. They live in the realm of fate, in the hands of nature, beyond our grasp. What is ours? Our choices, our discipline, our perception, our honesty, our consistency. We are responsible only for what we bring to the table, never for how the meal is received. You can strive without strain. You can pursue without pressure. You can give your full effort and still hold the outcome lightly. This is not weakness. It is the Stoic balance, the art of giving your all while expecting nothing. It is the calm in the storm, the steady presence within chaos. Here, serenity and strength do not oppose each other. They stand as allies. This is how you move forward, not in desperation but in purpose. Not rooted in cravings but in character. It is the discipline of detachment, to show up with full resolve, without letting your peace be stolen by what lies outside your control. This way of being does not limit ambition, it elevates it. It strips away the noise and clarifies intention, so that what you pursue reflects who you are, not who you are trying to prove yourself to be. To practice this, watch your energy carefully. Guard it. Notice the signals, the tightening in your shoulders, the racing of your thoughts, the fraying of your inner stillness. These are reminders. When effort begins to erode peace, it is no longer noble, it is corrosive. Step back, loosen your grip. Ask, is this action born of virtue or vanity? What am I defending? Does it even require defense? The moment you release the need to force, you create space for something real to enter. And often what remains after you let go is more powerful, more aligned, and more enduring than anything you tried to construct in desperation. The Stoics trusted that life unfolds with order, not always the order we prefer, but a deeper, wiser order. Nature does not rush, and neither should you. Trust the pace, trust the process, trust that you are becoming who you are meant to be, not by forcing, but by faithfully showing up and letting go. Chapter 3. The quiet power of surrender. Surrender is often misunderstood. It is not defeat, it is discernment. It is the wisdom to know when to stop pushing and when to start trusting. This trust is not blind. It is born of the conviction that the universe unfolds with order, even when we do not see it. Seneca wrote, "Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. To live well is to be led, not dragged. To surrender is to walk in step with what is." The Stoic does not waste energy resisting what cannot be changed. Your energy is precious. Guard it well. Reserve it for what is truly yours, your thoughts, your actions, your values. Think of the mountain. It does not chase the storm. It does not bargain with the wind. It endures, it accepts, not from weakness, but from being deeply rooted. So root yourself, not in outcomes, but in principles, not in control, but in courage, clarity, and acceptance. The one who forces is always reacting. The one who surrenders is always choosing. In practice, surrender looks like this. You show up fully. You do your part with integrity. Then you release the outcome. You work not to control every result, but to remain aligned with your highest values. You carry yourself with quiet diligence, knowing you cannot orchestrate every detail, but you can shape your presence, your intention, your response. You do not beg, you do not grasp, you do not cling to expectations as though they are lifelines. You understand that desperation poisons purpose. Instead, you give freely, without condition, without bribe. You speak truth because it must be spoken. You act because it honors your character. True fulfillment lies in the act of living well, not in whether the world bows to your plans. What is meant for you will come in its time. What is not meant will pass, no matter how tightly you hold it. This kind of surrender does not weaken you. It strengthens you. It does not silence ambition. It refines it. It brings a peace that cannot be stolen by circumstance, because it was never built on circumstance to begin with. It is the peace of self-trust, the peace of knowing you walked with integrity, even when outcomes were unclear. Apply this to your relationships. Release the need to be perfectly understood. Not everyone will resonate with your truth, and that is all right. You are not here to be universally approved. You are here to live authentically, to embody your principles with quiet certainty. The more you seek approval, the more you dilute your voice. The more you try to be everything to everyone, the more you drift from your center. Apply this to your work. Let your clarity be enough. Release the hunger for endless praise. Praise fades, but integrity echoes. Recognition is fleeting, but character builds legacy. When you create, create with love. When you serve, serve with heart. Do not be consumed by the compulsion to be seen. Often the most meaningful contributions go unnoticed, yet they leave the deepest mark. Apply this to your healing. Release the timeline. Trust the rhythm of restoration. Healing is not linear. It bends and loops. It stops and starts. It whispers, it shouts. Some days you will feel as if you are soaring, other days as if you are unraveling. Both are part of the process. Both ease and struggle are progress. Trust that. Trust it anyway. Stop rushing the process. Stop mistaking discomfort for failure. Growth has always been uncomfortable. Healing has always taken time. Life does not bloom faster under pressure. It blooms when it is nourished with light, with care, with patience, with silence. A tree does not force itself to grow. It simply continues, reaching upward, slowly, steadily, without demand. Be like that tree. Stop forcing others to understand, to love, to agree. Not everyone is ready for your truth. That reflects their season, not your worth. Insight cannot be forced. It unfolds when the soul is ready. Recognition cannot be forced. Those who are meant to see you will. Your task is not to demand understanding, but to embody clarity. Live as a quiet lighthouse in the fog, steady, consistent, unwavering. Guide not with arguments, but with presence. Shine so sincerely that you feel no need to defend yourself. Let your actions speak where words fall short. Let your steadiness say more than debate ever could. Everyone walks their own path at their own pace. Some will not walk beside you. Some may never catch up. That is not failure. It is life. Different lessons, different timings, different roads. So speak with truth, not performance. Act with honor, not control. Live your values with conviction, not arrogance. Love without demanding it be returned. Give without keeping score. Serve without seeking gratitude. Sincerity flows. It does not tally. It does not perform. It simply is. Keep showing up like this. Let your consistency be the proof of your belief. Let your calm refusal to persuade be the sign of your certainty. Show up fully, live honestly, and let what stays remain, not because you clung to it, not because you convinced it, but because it aligned with truth. What is real does not require grasping to survive. Let the rest fall away. Release what no longer fits. Let what drains you loosen its grip, like leaves falling from a weary tree at season's end. Do not beg for what demands begging to stay. Such things are not meant to be held. Do not cling to what peace asks you to release. Peace never requires what breeds tension. And know this, in the letting go, you are not losing. You are clearing space. Space for order to emerge. Space for clarity to rise. Space for grace to enter. Space for peace to remain. This shift is quiet, but it is the beginning of real power. Chapter 4. When patience is strength. In a world addicted to urgency, patience becomes a superpower. It stands out because it resists the culture of speed, results, and instant gratification. The Stoics knew most mistakes come from haste, from reacting before seeing clearly, from pushing for answers when more waiting was needed, from trying to force open a door that was never meant to be ours. True wisdom often arrives in the waiting. Clarity emerges not from pressure, but from perspective. Patience is not passive, it is active, demanding, and disciplined. It takes strength to remain steady while the world insists you hurry. It takes discernment to wait, not from fear or indecision, but from wisdom. Patience asks us to endure the discomfort of uncertainty without collapsing into panic. It asks for humility, to accept that we do not control time or other people or the unfolding of events. No matter how prepared or determined we are, life will never fully yield to our grip, but we do control our posture within it, and posture matters. It can be frantic, restless, unstable, or it can be calm, rooted, and composed. We cannot silence chaos, but we can meet it with stillness. We cannot erase uncertainty, but we can carry quiet conviction into it. This is not denial of difficulty, it is the choice of stance in the midst of it. Our attitude becomes our anchor when everything else drifts. when you feel the pressure to act, to fix, to force, to rush, pause, breathe. Remember, urgency often wears fear as a mask. Ask yourself, is this urgency real? Is it wisdom speaking or anxiety? Am I being called to act or being pulled by dread? The Stoics remind us we cannot control the arrival of the moment. We can only prepare for it. Patience is preparation in silence. It is training when no one is watching. It is refining your perspective, shaping your responses, strengthening your virtues, while the world unfolds at its own pace. It means taking each day seriously, even when nothing seems to be happening, trusting that today may be the foundation for a moment yet unseen. Patience is presence, not idleness. Calm, not detachment. It teaches us that readiness matters more than rushing, that timing is as important as effort. Patience sharpens our vision. It teaches us to see the difference between movement and progress, between effort and agitation. It shows us that not all action is equal, and that sometimes stillness is the most powerful action of all. Through patience we learn to notice, to read the subtle signs, to hear the quiet truths that haste always overlooks. This is the discipline of deliberate observation, to wait with intention, not avoidance. The wise wait not from laziness but from precision. They are not indifferent, they are attentive. They do not avoid action, they align it. They know a delayed action rooted in wisdom is more powerful than a rushed one born of panic. They choose response over reaction, presence over pressure, alignment over approval. They move not to prove, but to remain true. Their actions rise from calm clarity, not emotional turbulence. They move with direction, not reaction. They do not mistake motion for meaning or urgency for importance. Instead, they take time to listen not only to others, but to themselves, to conscience, to the rhythm of events quietly unfolding. They listen longer, they observe more carefully, and they act only when the moment truly calls them. Not their fear, not their ego, but their inner compass. This compass is not loud. It is steady, quiet, and sure. Refined through reflection, strengthened by discipline, made trustworthy through self-honesty. Because they have trained themselves to notice the quiet truths hidden beneath noise, they can wait for signals others miss. And when they do act, their actions carry weight. Their steps, though measured, hold momentum, because they rise from full presence, not divided attention. They are not ruled by the ticking of the clock. They are guided by the compass of the soul. This keeps them aligned with purpose, moving with integrity, walking in rhythm with life rather than racing against it. In that harmony, insight deepens, creativity expands, connection grows richer. They know not every door is theirs to walk through, and not every opportunity must be chased. They trust their path cannot be rushed. They understand that clarity outlasts speed, and peace outpowers pressure. Peace makes choices clean. Peace dissolves desperation. And from peace comes influence, conviction, and security. They trust patience. They know that waiting with readiness allows them to do more with less. Their actions are concentrated, deliberate, enduring. This is the paradox of Stoic power. The slower you move with purpose, the faster you progress with peace. For peace is not the absence of action. It is action without turbulence. It is strength without noise. It is movement free from panic. In this still and calm, focused state, the Stoic finds mastery, not forced, but fluid, not frantic, but unstoppable. Let your patience speak. Let it show the world you are not desperate, not grasping, not afraid to be still. There is power in the one who waits without weakening. That is the heart of the Stoic. To live without forcing is to live with open hands, not clutching, not clinging, but ready to receive and ready to release. This is the posture of peace. This is the posture of true power. Most live clenched, gripping plans, people, outcomes, identities, and in that grip, they lose themselves. Their energy grows brittle. Their joy becomes conditional. But the open hand holds differently. It carries peace. It carries strength. It carries freedom. They begin to live not from presence, but from pressure. The Stoics offered another way. Live light, travel light. Release the illusion that you must hold every thread, carry every burden, or control every outcome. Carry your values deeply. Carry your outcomes lightly. Stand rooted in integrity, but free from demand. Ground yourself in character, not in expectation. An open hand welcomes life as it is. It holds what comes. It releases what leaves. It does not chase. It does not force. It does not shrink at the uncertainty of tomorrow. It trusts not blindly, but wisely. The Stoic knows what is real does not need to be seized. What belongs will not need to be dragged. What is meant to stay will stay, not through grasping, but through alignment. An open hand is not weakness. It is readiness. It is strength that does not cling. It is the doorway through which grace enters. To live this way, begin by loosening your grip on control, on reputation, on timelines that are not yours, on expectations you never chose. Ask yourself, what am I holding too tightly? Is it a self I've already outgrown? An image I inherited but never claimed? What is the cost? My peace, my clarity, my presence, and what would shift if I opened my hand? Often the answer is freedom. Not loud, not dramatic, quiet, spacious freedom. The kind that lets you breathe again, that lets you trust again, that lets you rest without fear of losing what matters. This freedom is not escape, it is return. Return to yourself, to the moment, to what truly matters. It sharpens your listening, it clears your vision, it makes your actions precise and intentional. Because clarity lives where tension ends, and you will see, you never lose what is truly yours. You only release what was never meant to be carried. Illusion, fear, control, the compulsion to orchestrate every detail. In its place, you find something steadier, flow not forced, but responsive, calm not fragile, but rooted, strength not from gripping tighter, but from standing firm in who you are and what you believe. Live as the Stoics did, not with clenched fists, but with open hands, hands that know how to release, hands that know how to receive, hands that hold only what belongs. Not to conquer life, but to walk with it. Not to bend it into shape, but to meet it with reverence. This is how peace enters. Not through conquest, but surrender. Not through domination, but dignity. This is how power grows, not in force, but in presence. In knowing what is yours to shape and what is yours to release. That is the way of the open hand. It is the way of wisdom. It is the way that leads not to chaos, but to enduring peace. And when you no longer fear letting go, you discover a deeper truth. Only what is real will remain, and in that rush, you lose the lesson. You lose the strength that season was meant to build. When you compare your path to another's, or demand that life move on your schedule, you create suffering that was never necessary. Epictetus once said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." This is not resignation, it is wisdom. It is the shift from control to alignment. It is the choice to see what life is actually offering you. Instead of clinging to what you think it should be, it invites you to be a student of timing, not a prisoner of pressure. Maybe your season right now is one of quiet work in the background. Maybe it's rest, maybe it's healing, maybe it's the slow unlearning of old stories, the refining of your inner world before anything outward can change. These seasons rarely announce themselves. They don't roar. They whisper, they move in shadows, shaping you in silence. That doesn't mean they're wasted. In fact, they may be the most important chapters of all. Like seeds beneath the soil, unseen but alive, they are preparing you for what comes next. Growth doesn't only happen in the visible moments of triumph, it happens in stillness too, in the hidden sacred work of preparing, grounding and becoming. The Stoic honors that work. They don't dismiss it just because no one can see it. They know the harvest is only possible because of the planting. To live without forcing is to move with time, not against it. To treat time not as an enemy to conquer, but as a teacher to learn from. Time carries its own rhythm, its own wisdom. To rush it is to fight the tide. To trust it is to step in rhythm with something larger than yourself. It is to trust that your pace is not broken, that your season is not lost, that even the quiet, hidden stretches of life are part of your shaping. So you tend to the soil you've been given. You water what's in front of you. You nurture with patience, even when nothing seems to change. You resist the urge to dig up the roots, just to check if they're growing. You let them take hold in their own time. And when the season shifts, the fruit will appear not too early, not too late, but right on time. You don't pull on the stem to make it grow. You don't command the clouds to rain. You don't bargain with nature to bend to your will. You create the right conditions. and then you allow. You let life unfold in its own wise, unforced way. This is how you honor the nature of things, the slow, patient rhythm in which all things rise. Chapter 7. The difference between effort and forcing. Not all action is forcing. The Stoics were not idle dreamers. They worked, they trained, they endured. But their effort was never rooted in panic. It was rooted in purpose. They cared less about what they achieved and more about what they achieved and more about who they became in the process. Their energy went into shaping their character, not controlling the outcomes, into strengthening their will, not bending the world to their desire. This is effort that is calm, steady, and sustainable. Forcing, on the other hand, is effort poisoned by fear. It is motion fueled by desperation, the frantic need to have things exactly as imagined, no matter the cost. It is action without alignment, and instead of building strength, it drains it. Forcing is the attempt to control what was never yours to command: people, circumstances, outcomes. It mistakes movement for progress, noise for meaning. It insists on paths that reality resists, overlooking the signs and bypassing the natural order. And more often than not, it leads not to success, but to exhaustion, to burnout, to disillusionment. It wears down the soul because it severs effort from wisdom. True effort, when aligned with reason, brings peace. It is energies offered in harmony with your values. It strengthens rather than drains because it flows from purpose instead of panic. Effort doesn't demand, it contributes. It doesn't overwhelm, it organizes. It moves steadily without stripping you of yourself. It is sustainable because it grows from conviction, not compulsion. Forcing, by contrast, is pressure. It buries intention under obsession, narrowing your vision until clarity disappears. It insists that life move at your pace, bend to your expectations, and match your timetable. And in doing so, it traps you in constant resistance. Effort respects the flow of things. It listens, it adapts. It turns life into a dialogue instead of a monologue. You do your part, and you stay attuned to what is unfolding around you. You adjust when the moment calls for it. You rest when rest is needed. You honor your energy. Forcing tries to dam the river. It resists, manipulates, and tightens its grip. It pushes conversations not yet ready to be had. It demands outcomes not yet mature enough to arrive. It creates urgency where none exists, an urgency that drains rather than refines. Effort builds because it works with what is. It aligns with timing, with purpose, with nature itself. It sustains what is meaningful and authentic. Forcing breaks because it refuses to yield. It pushes against reality until the spirit fractures, leaving only emptiness despite all the motion. The Stoic chooses effort over force, not from fear of work, but from devotion to wisdom. They act in alignment, not agitation. They know real momentum is never frantic, it is deliberate. They understand that effort grounded in virtue creates strength, while effort born from fear becomes a burden. So they act with presence, with values, with steadiness. They build not by forcing, but by moving with the rhythm of life, instead of against it. Ask yourself, am I acting from clarity or from chaos? Am I working with life or against it? Is my effort rooted but from devotion to wisdom? They act in alignment, not agitation. They know real momentum is never frantic, it is deliberate. They understand that effort grounded in virtue creates strength, while effort born from fear becomes a burden. So they act with presence, with values, with steadiness. They build not by forcing, but by moving with the rhythm of life, instead of against it. Ask yourself, am I acting from clarity or from chaos? Am I working with life or against it? Is my effort rooted but in moving wisely, patiently, and in rhythm with the nature of things? To reclaim your power, return to what is truly yours, your discipline, your choices, your perception, your response. No one can take these from you unless you surrender them first. Release what lies outside your control, what falls beyond your authority, your responsibility. Let go not with bitterness, but with quiet wisdom. The Stoic's work is steady, not hurried. It does not chase validation, nor race toward outcomes. It is the measured rhythm of a person aligned with their soul. Firm, yet not frantic. Deliberate, not desperate. This is the difference. This is the wisdom. In choosing this path, you step into a kind of power the world cannot give and cannot take away. Chapter 8. Letting go of the need to control people. Perhaps the hardest place to apply this lesson is with others. We try to change them, to convince them, to make them see what we see. We believe we are guiding, helping, doing what is best. But often we are not serving them. We are trying to control them. We seek to shape their behavior to fit our expectations rather than accepting them as they are. This tendency is subtle, often disguised as care. At its core, however, it is resistance to the truth. We are not the authors of another person's journey. The Stoics warned that other people's minds and choices are never within our control. To live in harmony, we must first honor the boundary between what belongs to us and what does not. Attempting to force someone to feel, understand, or act a certain way leads only to frustration. It breeds resentment. It fuels conflict. It builds walls between hearts. Worse, it often pushes people further away. When we try to coerce change, we strip away the dignity of choice, both theirs and ours. True strength is not persuasion. It is presence. It is rootedness in your own truth without needing others to adopt it. It is living clearly enough that others feel it, not simply hear it. Influence flows from example, not insistence. It is setting boundaries without punishment, speaking truth without demanding agreement, loving without attachment. Real love, in the Stoic sense, allows freedom. It does not seek to possess, control, or reshape the other. It offers itself honestly, without condition, and lets authenticity rise in its own time. This love respects freedom and draws strength from self-containment, not control. When you stop forcing others to change, you open the door to genuine connection, not built on manipulation, but on respect, mutual understanding, and shared truth. You create space for honesty to flourish, rather than performance. You release the grip of expectations, and in doing so allow love to flow more freely without pressure, without pretense. You let others be who they are, even if they remain unchanged, even if their path diverges from your own. And through it all, you stay rooted in yourself, anchored in your values, not swayed by reactions or resistance. You begin to see people not as projects, but as fellow travelers. You shift from controlling to witnessing, from managing to appreciating. In that shift, connection deepens. It is a quiet kind of power. It frees you. It untangles you from the exhausting cycle of trying to shape others. It redirects energy that was once spent in tension toward clarity, toward strength, toward standing calmly in your own center even when others spin around you. You release a burden you were never meant to carry, the illusion of control over others. And when you lay it down, your hands are free to carry what truly belongs to you. Your values, your peace, your truth. The weight lifts, calm, kindness, and clarity return. You are no longer pulled in 1,000 directions by the behavior or emotions of those around you. You find stillness. You become a safe space not just for others but for yourself. This invites peace, that's peace, into your relationships. A peace born not from agreement but from acceptance. It asks nothing of others but allows everything in its own time. It honors autonomy while protecting serenity. The Stoic does not chase, fix, or plead. They do not expend energy trying to mold others. They conserve it for what truly matters. They live by principle. They speak by principle. They embody principle. Their presence is a quiet invitation to rise, not a command to conform. And then they let the rest unfold, trusting that true influence begins where coercion ends, and that the deepest transformation arises from example, not pressure. Chapter 9. The Paradox of Power. There is a paradox in Stoicism. The less you force, the more powerful you become. True power is not in grip, but in grace. It is not in domination or control, but in calm presence. It resides in clarity, in unwavering values, in the stillness of someone who does not need outcomes to validate their worth. The person quam domine recon fatao, in the stillness of someone who does not need outcomes to validate their worth. The person quandable dominel recon fatao, who moves with purpose, not pressure, becomes magnetic. They do not grasp, yet they attract. They are complete from within, and that wholeness radiates quiet authority. Attention comes naturally, not because it is demanded, but because their presence speaks for itself. They do not compete, they contribute. They do not seek, they emanate groundedness. Opportunities flow to them because they are not chasing. Power in its truest form is born from alignment, not agitation. From presence kratovdate, not pressure. From being fully themselves, unshaken by what they cannot control. And when opportunities arrive, they meet someone who is ready, not frantic, insecure, or reactive, but steady, discerning, and prepared. Life flows more easily, not because it becomes easier, but because they are no longer fighting it. They move with the current instead of trying to bend the river to their will. They have stopped arguing with reality and started aligning with it. They do not wrestle with the river. They have learned how to swim, to breathe, and to trust that they will reach the shore in time. The Stoic becomes the calm in the storm, not by stopping the wind, but by stopping the panic. They find stillness where others find only chaos. They do not seek to eliminate it. They simply refuse to be ruled by it. They anchor themselves, becoming the center in a swirling world, not grounded in certainty of outcome, but in clarity of intention. They steady their thoughts, regulate their breath, and respond rather than react. They do not allow emotion to hijack judgment. They hold space within themselves untouched by circumstance. They practice reason. They lean on principle rather than impulse. Philosophy becomes their compass, guiding them through uncertainty. Even in confusion, they remain connected to their values. They remain undisturbed, not by withdrawing from life, but by engaging with it through wisdom, through presence, rather than pressure. This is not weakness, it is mastery. It is strength refined through self-governance. True power does not come from overpowering the world, but from moving through it whole, calm, and centered. Enduring influence comes not from force, but from consistency, not from noise, but from depth, not from dominance, but from understanding. This is the essence of Stoic power, the ability to remain whole while life moves around you. In your own life, reflect on where effort has become control, where intensity has become a prison, where the drive to be productive, to achieve, to manage everything perfectly, has overridden your ability to simply be, where striving has replaced sensing, and to-do lists have taken precedence over peace. Ask yourself, am I pressing forward because it is right, or because I am afraid of what happens if I do not? Am I acting out of wisdom or out of worry? What if I released this? What if I let go? What if I trusted instead of tensed, leaned into patience instead of urgency, allowed space instead of tensed, leaned into patience instead of urgency, allowed space instead of filling every gap with noise? Often the answer is not collapse. It is peace, a deep, nourishing peace that comes not from getting everything you want, but from realizing you did not need to force anything to be okay, that what is real does not require pressure to endure, that peace is found not at the end of control, but at the beginning of surrender. To live this way is to walk with quiet strength, a strength that does not announce itself, yet is evident in every calm decision and composed action. A strength that does not seek attention, yet holds authority, to act when needed and rest when not. To know that rest is not retreat, but wisdom. To move only when there is alignment, and to remain still when the world clamors for reaction. To choose your moments with care. To know when to speak and when to stay silent. To speak not to dominate, but to reveal truth. To use words not to control controversum pondervel, but to clarify. To let silence do its own work, its own kind of speaking, its own kind of healing. To understand that the greatest form of power is not in forcing outcomes, but in mastering yourself, mastering your impulses, your anxieties, your stories about how things must go, mastering the temptation to act out of fear instead of virtue, and in that mastery, discovering a power that flows effortlessly, not loud, not imposing, but unmistakably strong, a strength that does not shout la babos, but steadies the room. A strength that does not rush, but arrives exactly when it is needed, and changes everything when it does. Chapter 10. Trust the process. Live the philosophy. All of Stoicism comes back to this. Live in agreement with nature, not in conflict with it, not in friction with the flow of reality, but in harmony with its rhythm. You were not made to bend the world through force of will or desperation. You were made to align with it, to move in concert with it, to bring your best to each moment, your full presence, your calm focus, your unwavering virtue, and to let the rest unfold as it must. Life is not your servant, it is your teacher. Your task is not to command it, but to walk alongside it with grace. Don't force anything is not about doing less, it is about doing right. It is not about disengagement or avoidance, it is about alignment, about knowing when to act and when to wait, when to speak, frabadanci, and when silence carries greater power. It is about moving with clarity, not confusion, with integrity, not ego, with calm, not chaos. It is the strength to step away when it is not your battle, and the wisdom to lean in when it is. It is trusting the process even when the outcome is unclear. It is anchoring yourself to wisdom when the world tempts you to act from fear. Most challenges do not demand immediate action. They demand centered observation. The Stoics were not passive, they were powerful. But their power was precise, thoughtful, intentional, quiet, enduring. They did not waste energy on what was beyond their sphere. They conserved their strength for what they could shape, their thoughts, their responses, their principles. In doing so, they became immovable. You can live this way, not someday, but today, not by changing the world, but by changing your approach to it, by shifting from resistance to awareness, by letting the wind move around you instead of pushing against it, by no longer forcing open doors that are closed for a reason. Some doors are shut because they are not meant for you or not meant for now, by no longer trying to control those who were never yours to command. People are not puzzles to be solved, they are souls to be honored. By no longer forcing your timeline, you allow a greater one to unfold beneath it. The universe moves with a rhythm that does not answer to our deadlines. Live with open hands, release the tension, unclench your fists, soften your brow. You cannot receive what is meant for you while holding on so tightly. Hold fast only to what truly belongs to you, your character, your choices, your courage. Everything else is borrowed. Everything else is passing. Let it pass. Trust that when you stop forcing, you begin to see. You begin to notice what has always been there. Truth, beauty, opportunity, love, unfolding effortlessly, without interference. You begin to live attuned to what life's quiet guidance, ready to welcome what is genuinely yours. When you stop grasping, you begin to receive. When you stop dictating, you begin to listen. Life flows toward you because you are no longer blocking it with fear or impatience. You step aside from the doorway of your blessings and let them arrive. The life that is meant for you does not need to be wrestled into place. It will not bend to your tension. It will not respond to pressure. It responds to presence, preparation. It arrives in its own time, like the seasons, like the sunrise, like the river meeting the sea. Inevitable, effortless, ordained. It does not shout, it whispers, and when it comes, you will be ready, not because you chased it, but because you made space for it. Let this be your posture, still yet strong, surrendered yet deliberate, awake yet unhurried, not as one who has given up, but as one who has finally understood. That is the Stoic way. That is how you walk through the world, unshaken, unhurried, unforced, a quiet force of peace in a world addicted to panic.